Hi, it's Chris. In this video we're going to show you how to remove and install a mechanical timer on your dryer. Replacing the mechanical timer on your dryer is a fairly easy process to do. You really only need a few basic tools. Keep in mind, if your machine needs to be repaired, it's usually simple enough to do it yourself. Visit PartSelect.com, enter your model number, and quickly find and order the part you need. The most common reasons for replacing a mechanical timer on your dryer is either the timer itself may not be advancing through the cycle, or you're experiencing a no heat condition, or perhaps the machine's not even starting at all. So no matter what make and model of dryer you have, if it has a mechanical timer, it's going to look very much like this. Now the mounting may be a little bit different as far as where it locks in. Some have screws that mount from the front, others have tabs that have screws going in from the back. There's a lot of different styles, a lot of different mounts, but they all do the same basic job. They basically have a motor that's going to wind up driving a gear that's turning a set of plastic cams that open and close the contacts inside for starting and stopping the motor, as well as turning on the heater and shutting it off. So the first thing we want to do when looking to remove or replace the timer in your dryer is turn off the power. And that can be done either by pulling the plug out of the wall or turning off the power at your main power supply if the dryer is hardwired in. And if it's a gas dryer, you're going to want to turn off the fuel supply to it. To remove or replace your timer, you're going to have to, of course, remove the timer knob. And on most dryers, it's simply a matter of grabbing the knob, applying a little pressure, and pulling it off. At this point, you'll have an opportunity to look to see if there's any screws in here where the knob was hiding. That would give you an indication as to whether the mounting screws are here from the front. And in this case, there aren't any screws, so you know that the screws that hold it are going to be from the back. So the next thing we're going to do now that we have the knob removed is we're going to need to get at the back of the console so we can find out where that timer is mounted, how it's mounted, and start removing the screws and the wiring. Now, on a lot of models, there's just one panel that comes off. Some of them, like this one, need to have the front part of the panel removed first. So we're just going to take our screwdriver and remove these screws that are across the top. Now with the screws removed, we're now able to tip the console forward. So now that we have access to the timer itself, you can see that we have a series of wires that are attached to it. Now, you also notice that there's lettering on the timer that are not related to color codes. They're related to what the timer sheet says those contacts are. So what I would typically do is I would take a piece of paper, I would just make a quick sketch of the timer and the different contacts with letters, and I'd just mark down what color the wires are. Or you can take your smartphone and take a picture of it so you know exactly what color wire went to which terminal. We can now just start to remove the wires. And I just like to use a little pair of needle nose pliers just to grip the terminal and wiggle it off the timer. Now that we have all the wires removed, it's just a matter of actually physically removing the timer itself. Now on some models, this timer will be mounted with a bracket with a couple of screws going through it, or just maybe one tab with a screw. This one simply rotates within the housing itself. It actually locks in. So to release this particular one, you just need a small screwdriver, or I like to use the edge of my putty knife, just to lift this tab up. And now I can rotate the dryer timer and lift it right out of place. So it's just that easy to remove the mechanical timer from your dryer. So now to install the mechanical timer in your dryer, it's just a matter of bringing the timer into position on the console so that the locking tab on both sides drops into the opening in the console itself. Once that's situated in the proper spot, all we have to do is rotate the timer and bring it around until the little locking pin drops into place. So now to start connecting my wires, I'm going to refer either to the picture I've taken with my smartphone, or if I've just made a paper drawing of where the wires go. Either one works, but you'll need that as your reference. So now just pick up any wire you like and attach it to the proper location. Now these terminals should go on fairly snugly and be nice and tight. If they're not, you'll want to take a pair of pliers and snug them up. So that one's a little bit loose, so I'm just going to tighten that one up. I'm just going to take a pair of needle nose pliers and just give that a gentle squeeze on both sides. Not enough to crush it, but just enough so that when you push it onto the terminal, it takes a little bit of effort and it's nice and tight. There. Now that we have our wires all in place, now we can just simply swing our console back into proper position. I'll put our screws back in. So now all I need to do is just turn my dryer back into position. Put my timer knob back on. So you just go to line up on your timer knob. You'll find it's just like a circle except for one flat spot. So you'll line up that flat spot on the knob with the flat spot on the timer and push it on. And that's just how easy it is to install a new mechanical timer in your dryer.